This is Larry Henares, making your day with a broadcast about women leaders. Now, there are good leaders and there are bad leaders. Among the good ones are the ones who make their mark upon history. They start off by being elected or selected. Like, for instance, Golda Meir of Israel and Indira Gandhi of India, as well as Margaret Thatcher of the United Kingdom. And then far back in history, we have Queen Elizabeth I, who actually reigned in the golden age of William Shakespeare, and who defied the greatest naval power of the time, Imperial Spain. The Spanish monarch, Philip II, after whom the Philippines was named, sent the greatest fleet of war vessels across the English Channel, the dreaded Spanish Armada. In a few years' battle, aided by a storm, Queen Elizabeth's small fleet of privateers destroyed the Spanish Armada and made England a great naval colossus and the greatest colonial power of all time, together with Imperial Spain. Now, there is also Queen Victoria, who ruled Great Britain for 64 glorious years. He presided over the expansion of the British dominions to such magnitude that it could be said of it, the sun never sets upon the British Empire. And he was confirmed the title Empress of India, and from her loins and bloodline, her genes came forth almost all the titled heads of Europe, from the German Kaiser William II to the Spanish King Alfonso and to Russian Tsar Nicholas II. Now, what makes women leaders different from their male counterparts? A look at the lower animals provides part of the answer. The male of the species, that is, us men, from the lordly lion to the cockiest rooster in the chicken coop, fights for power and for one purpose only, that is, sexual dominance. He fights to copulate with the prettiest females around, and the more he deflowers, that means deprive them of their virginity, it is the better for him. Now, the deadlier female fights also, but for a very different reason. Her sex drive is sublimated into a noble undertaking, the care and protection of her brood. Men instinctively seek power for power's sake, while women seek power in pursuit of a primordial urge, a mother instinct that seeks to embrace a whole nation. If Indira Gandhi really wanted power for its own sake, she would never have voluntarily relinquished her dictatorial emergency powers that called for elections she was bound to lose. Now, that is the kind of a woman we would like to have as a leader. Yet not all women leaders are like Indira Gandhi. There are women leaders that are not good. They're very bad reputation, and that means the wife of Ferdinand Marcos, Imelda. That means the girlfriend of Juan Perón, Eva Perón, and his subsequent wife and Vice President Isabelita, who was elected as a vice president and succeeded to office upon the death of her husband, President Juan Perón, and was subsequently overthrown for being corrupt. The chief difference between Indira Gandhi of India on one hand, Eva Perón and Isabelita Perón is their age. Eva Perón and Isabelita Perón, as well as Imelda Romualdez Marcos, who is in the same category, is that they have a compulsive need to be attractive. They are still in a childbearing age, and they look upon themselves as a beautiful woman rather than a competent ruler. Such women seek power for beauty and luxury it affords, and they are more often than not power behind a throne rather than person of personal power. Women of childbearing age have an additional burden to carry. They have to contend with what they call menstrual periods, causing a chemical imbalance every month that sometimes upsets reason and judgment. But beyond the age of childbearing, at the stage when she becomes a grandmother, a woman becomes a potential national leader with a capacity for greatness rarely achieved by the male of the species. Such women are almost always underestimated by men, almost always to their surprise, consternation, and dismay. Pushed to the limit, such women leaders have proven stronger than their male counterparts. A woman leader has a capacity for greatness rarely achieved by the male of the species. Firstly, because unlike the male, she is motivated less by the quest of power than the mother instinct to embrace and protect the entire nation. Secondly, such women try much harder to accomplish more, to get the same recognition that men get, because so little is expected of them. Thirdly, they are much more consummate politicians, used to persuasion rather than command, after a lifetime of cajoling, dominant, and philandering husbands, like some of my cousins. After a lifetime of cajoling and persuading and disciplining recalcitrant children, bargaining with vendors and peddlers, and making peace with intransigent mothers-in-law. They have cultivated the supreme qualities of patience, understanding, dissimulation to a degree unattainable by the male politician. Fourthly, a woman is stronger in will and healthier in body than men are. Men can hardly cope with an 8-hour day, coming home to rest in the arms of a wife who never rests. The women have to be in better shape than men in order to withstand the rigors of childbirth and breastfeeding, the pangs of insecurity that is the lot of most wives, the 24-hour job of being wife and mother, weathering family crisis upon crisis without let-up. Women have less nervous breakdowns and less debilitating diseases than her husband, and generally survives him, even though she reworks twice as much. In the fires of life's tribulations, the woman becomes tempered steel, better equipped to cope with crises that beset a nation. Above all, a woman has the quality needed to be a great leader and manager of the affairs of the nation because she is generally a generalist instead of being a specialist. Anyone that ever climbs up the corporate ladder to be the CEO of a company knows that the higher up one he reaches, the less he practices specialization for which she is schooled and trained. Now, in order to go up, he must know about everybody else's contribution to the company objective. He must be a bit of a lawyer, a bit of an engineer, an accountant, a human relations expert, in order to guide the varied specialists under his authority and expertise to guide them towards a common goal. The more responsibility he assumes, the less specialist and more generalist he has to be. Now, on the other hand, the woman, all her life she's a generalist already, rather than a specialist. To survive as a breadwinner, a man has to be a specialist, a lawyer, an engineer, a doctor. In short, a man that has to be one thing to everybody. On the other hand, a woman has to be everything to somebody. She has to be a babysitter, teacher, guardian, policeman, warden, nurse, doctor, psychologist to her children. She has to be a bit of an engineer to be able to operate and fix household appliances, a bit of an accountant to plan the family finances, a bit of a lawyer to keep her family out of trouble, a bit of a chef and a courtesan to keep the interests of her husband, even as she delegates her duties to her children and servants. She becomes, to all intents and purposes, a general manager of the home. As such, he acquires the empathy, the experience and judgment invaluable in exercising the leadership of a nation. You know, they say men are from Mars and women are from Venus. But that is only partly true. Men comes from Mars only. Women also come from Mercury, Saturn, and from a million planets because women differ from each other and far more than they differ from men. Women have an extra X chromosome, so much larger than the man's tiny Y chromosome. That is why women have more choices to do. They're forced to wear different dresses and shoes than other women do. Men prefer to wear the same pants and shoes every single day of their lives, like other men. That is why women are so unpredictable and men are so predictable in all manners. Women are the nurturers of the human race. They are the anchor of the family, the cornerstone of civilization, far more valuable than men who are so disposable. We send them off to war to be killed without counting the cost. That is why we save women and children first and save men for the last, because they don't really count. You imagine a world of women with only one man. The whole country can be repopulated by one normal ejaculation of 50 million sperms by that one single man. The world will not change. It will not skip a beat. Now imagine a world of men with only one woman. That woman can only give birth once every 9 months. And the world will be back to the time of Adam and Eve. So, women are really much, much more valuable than men are. Small wonder, then, that when talented men attain a position of wisdom, prestige, and power above ordinary men. When they become popes, when they become cardinals, when they become priests, rabbis, and mandarins, when they become Supreme Court justices and kings, they're called upon to dignify their person with what women ordinarily wear, and that is a gown.